She won't say it out loud, but her body already told you everything. Most men miss this. They spend years thinking women are complicated, mysterious, impossible to read. But the truth is, when a woman feels desire, it slips out in ways she can't fully control. A glance that lasts too long, a touch that lingers a second more than it should, a laugh that carries more warmth than the words deserve. The problem is, men either ignore these signals or they overreact and blow the moment. They lean in too fast, talk too much, chase too hard, and turn what could have been attraction into resistance. And that's why so many guys end up confused, rejected, or stuck, wondering, did she even like me? What if instead you could read her cues clearly without guessing, without second-guessing yourself, and respond with calm, steady confidence? What if you could recognize the exact signs of female desire? The little actions she'll never admit are deliberate, and know exactly how to handle them. That's what this video is about. We'll break down the hidden signals women give when their attraction is stronger than their words suggest. We'll look at the glances, the touches, the laughs, the subtle ways she invests in you, and we'll tie it all back to Stoic calm, so you never get thrown off balance. By the end, you'll see her actions differently, and you'll know how to turn her signals into your advantage. Let's get into it. Number 1. The look that lingers. Every man knows what it feels like when a woman looks at him, but not every man knows how to tell the difference between a polite glance and the kind of look that reveals something deeper, something closer to desire. A woman's eyes will give her away long before her words ever do. And if you can spot that difference, you'll never walk around wondering again. Here's the truth: women rarely announce attraction out loud. Instead, it leaks through in those extra seconds her eyes stay locked on you. When she lets her gaze linger longer than basic social etiquette requires, she's giving you a signal. The problem is, most men either dismiss it as nothing or they panic and overplay their hand. Both mistakes ruin the moment. Take Mark, a 47-year-old divorced father from Texas. He's at a work event standing near the bar. Across the room, he notices Lisa, a 4-year-old colleague he's only spoken to briefly before. At first he thinks she just happened to glance his way, but then he notices something every time he shifts her eyes find him again. And when he meets her gaze, she doesn't look away immediately. She holds it for a beat too long. That's not accidental, that's the look that lingers. Here's where most men mess up. They either stare back like a hungry wolf, which feels invasive, or they get nervous and break the connection too quickly, signaling insecurity. The right move: recognize it, meet her eyes calmly, give a small, knowing smile, then casually shift your attention elsewhere. That subtle balance says, I see you, I'm not needy, and I'm in control of myself. And that's where attraction grows. The Stoics understood this principle long before modern psychology put words to it. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." The look itself isn't the point. Your reaction is. If you can stay calm and collected, her desire deepens. If you crack, either by staring too long or retreating too fast, you break the spell. Let's go deeper. Why does lingering eye contact matter so much? Biology. When someone's pupils dilate, when their eyes soften, it's the body's unconscious way of showing interest. A woman may never admit she's looking at you that way, but her body already has. It's primal, it's real, and if you ignore it, you'll miss your chance. Back to Mark and Lisa. Later that night, they're chatting in a small group. Mark doesn't rush in. He listens, contributes, but every so often he catches Lisa watching him with that same softness in her eyes. He doesn't lunge. He doesn't overtalk. He lets the energy build steady and natural. And that restraint, the ability to recognize desire but not pounce, makes him more attractive than any cheesy line ever could. So here's your takeaway. Pay attention to her eyes. If they linger, that's your signal. Respond with composure, not desperation. Use a calm gaze, a brief smile, then let it go. This shows her you're a man in control, not a man begging for her validation. And that difference is everything. Now I want you to lock this in by leaving a comment. Write it in the simplest, strongest way possible. I see this. That way, you're not just watching passively, you're claiming it for yourself. And remember, what we just covered is only the first step. Her eyes may open the door, but the next signal is even stronger, and most men completely miss it. You'll want to stick around for that because it changes everything about how you read her body language. Number 2. Breaking into your space. A woman's body language says more than her words ever will. One of the clearest signs of desire is when she steps closer than she needs to. She could stand a few feet away and keep the conversation polite, but instead she moves into your personal space. Her shoulder brushes yours. Her arm lingers near yours on the table. She doesn't lean back when you lean in slightly. That's not coincidence. That's her testing the waters. Most men miss it. They assume she's just being friendly, or they dismiss it as chance. But here's the truth, women know the rules of space just as well as men. If she's crossing that invisible line, she's signaling comfort, and more often than not, attraction. The real question is, how do you respond? This is where control matters. If you get flustered and shuffle backward, you communicate insecurity. If you lean in too hard, you look overeager. The Stoics would tell you the same thing. They told emperors and soldiers, remain steady. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Her moving closer is the event. Your calm, composed presence is the strength. Think about it. The average person maintains a bubble of space around their body, especially with people they don't know well. When she steps inside that bubble, she's inviting a shift in the dynamic. If you can stay relaxed, hold your ground, and continue the interaction without exaggerating the moment you pass the test, you show you're comfortable being a man she's drawn toward, not a boy overwhelmed by the attention. Here's another layer. Sometimes she'll accidentally brush against you, an elbow grazing yours, a hand passing closer than necessary. These are subtle compliance tests. She's gauging not just whether you notice, but how you handle it. Do you freeze? Do you flinch? Or do you acknowledge it with a calm smile and keep leading the flow of conversation? Your answer reveals more about your confidence than anything you say. Stoicism teaches detachment from instant gratification. Seneca said, "He who is brave is free." When you don't react with hunger to her closeness, you demonstrate freedom from neediness. And paradoxically, that very freedom makes you more desirable. You become the calm center of gravity she's drawn to. Why does this matter so much? Because physical space is primal. Long before words, humans communicated attraction and dominance through proximity. When she enters your space and you hold steady, you tap into something ancient. She feels it even if she can't explain it. And when you combine that with stoic composure, calm breath, relaxed posture, steady eye contact, you flip the power dynamic. She's leaning in, and you're holding frame. So here's your move. Don't run, don't rush, don't flinch. Hold your space with quiet confidence. Acknowledge her presence with subtle ease. Then keep leading the interaction naturally. This balance communicates that you're not thrown off, and you're not desperate. You're a man in control. And in her eyes, that control is magnetic. Now, I want you to claim this for yourself. Drop a comment that says, "I hold steady, simple, strong," and it cements the lesson in your own mind. And remember, space is only one signal. There's an even more revealing one that comes next, the kind of signal you can actually feel on your skin. Most men miss it entirely. Don't make that mistake. Number 3, touch that tests you. There's a moment when words aren't enough for her anymore. She reaches out, not always directly, not always obviously, but enough for you to notice. A brush of her hand against yours, a playful tap on your arm when she laughs, adjusting something on your shirt when it doesn't even need adjusting. These touches are not accidents, they're tests. She's checking how you respond. Let's put this into a real-life situation. Imagine David, 52, sitting at a dinner party hosted by a mutual friend. Across from him is Sarah, 49, recently divorced and starting to re-enter the dating world. They've been talking casually for most of the evening, small jokes, light conversation. At one point, Sarah leans forward to emphasize a story, and her hand lingers just a little too long on David's forearm. It's not forceful, but it's intentional. That touch is her way of saying, I feel comfortable breaking the barrier. Now here's the catch. What David does next determines everything. If he jerks back as if her hand is burning hot, he signals discomfort and insecurity. If he grabs her hand too eagerly, he risks looking desperate. The right move is subtle. He lets her hand rest, holds his posture steady, gives her a calm smile, and continues the flow of conversation without making the touch the centerpiece. In that moment, he passes the test. Why do women do this? Because touch is intimate. It bypasses words and logic. It's her way of probing your composure. She wants to know, are you calm enough to handle her closeness? Do you break the frame when skin meets skin? The Stoics would frame it simply, your reaction is the only thing under your control. Epictetus reminded his students, if you want to improve, be content to be thought foolish and stupid. In this context, it means don't overreact, don't perform, don't try to impress. Stay centered. Touch is also layered. Sometimes it's playful, a nudge when she teases you. Other times it's exploratory, a light graze as she walks past. Each time she's asking silently, can you stay grounded, or will you either flinch or lunge? The men who fail either retreat too much, breaking the tension, or overcompensate by escalating too quickly. Both moves kill the attraction. The key is presence. Your job is not to chase her hand. Your job is to remain calm, breathe, and let her escalate if she wants. That restraint creates polarity. She'll remember that you didn't collapse into neediness, and she'll push further if she wants to. The truth is, women respect men who don't crumble under the simplest test. Back to David and Sarah. Later in the evening, she accidentally brushes his knee under the table. This time, he doesn't flinch, but he doesn't pounce either. He maintains the same relaxed energy, smiles, and continues leading the conversation. By holding his frame, he communicates something powerful. I don't need your touch, but I'm comfortable with it. That calmness is exactly what keeps her interest burning. So here's the lesson. A woman's touch is rarely random. It's a silent question. Are you steady enough for me to lean closer? If you can respond with quiet composure, acknowledge it but don't overreact. You've passed the test she won't admit she's giving. Lock this in by leaving a comment right now, I stay calm. That's the mindset you need when her hand finds its way to yours. And here's the thing, touch is powerful, but there's another signal that carries even more weight. It's hidden in her laughter, and it reveals more than most men realize. Don't miss that. Number 4. Laughter that pulls you in. There's something about a woman's laughter that can disarm even the most stoic of men. It's light, musical, contagious, and when it's directed at you, it feels like a reward. But here's the truth, her laughter isn't just about a joke. It's an invitation, a sign that she feels comfortable letting her guard down and opening a door for you to step through. Think about it. She could smile politely, nod and move on. But when she laughs, really laughs, leaning in, touching your arm, letting her voice rise, it's her way of saying, you've pulled me out of my head and into this moment. And that matters more than you think. Women crave experiences that bypass logic and go straight into feeling. Laughter does exactly that. The Stoics had a way of looking at these moments with clarity. Marcus Aurelius once wrote, "The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts." When she laughs with you, it's because you've shifted her thoughts, even for a second, away from stress, boredom, or distractions, and into something light. That shift doesn't just brighten her mood, It creates a link between her happiness and your presence. But here's where many men fail. They take laughter as a sign to immediately push harder to become the clown, to chase validation by being the funny guy. And just like that, the charm wears off. Why? Because she wasn't laughing at just the joke. She was laughing at you being relaxed, present, and unforced. Turn it into a performance, and you kill the authenticity that drew her in. The deeper layer of her laughter is connection. She's not only responding to your words, but to your calmness, your composure, and the way you're able to enjoy the moment without trying too hard. The Stoic Epictetus said, "It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." In this case, the same principle applies. It's not the perfect punchline that makes her laugh, but your ability to let humor flow naturally without fear or tension. And notice something else. Laughter breaks down barriers. A woman may guard her words, keep her thoughts private, or maintain distance with her body language. But laughter slips through those defenses. It's unfiltered, real, and immediate. When you see that, don't rush to exploit it. Instead, relax into it. Smile with her. Hold eye contact. Let the silence after her laughter build tension rather than break it. That's how laughter pulls you deeper into her world. Here's the paradox: laughter makes her feel safe and excited at the same time. Safe because she can be herself without judgment. Excited because humor combined with composure suggests confidence. And confidence is what stirs her attraction more than anything else. Now, let's bring this back to you. The next time you notice her laughing with you, remember it's not an accident, and it's not just the joke. It's a green light. But how you respond determines whether the moment dies or grows into something more. If you chase, if you try to force more laughs, you look needy. If you stay grounded, enjoy the moment, and let the energy hang in the air, you become magnetic. And this is where your growth as a man truly begins, learning to read her laughter, not as validation but as opportunity. Opportunity to lead, to create space, and to show that your presence, not your punchlines, is what really draws her in. Now, before we move on, let me remind you what we're unpacking here goes far deeper than surface-level dating advice. This is about mastering yourself, your frame, and your influence. That's why I've created a community for men who want to dive deeper into these lessons, where we break down female psychology, Stoic principles, and real-life strategies that transform not just your relationships, but your entire life. So if you're serious about leveling up, don't just watch, become a member. Join the inner circle today and start mastering the art of attraction and self-control. Type in the comments right now, "I stay grounded." That simple reminder will anchor this lesson the next time her laughter pulls you in. Number 5. Her body mirrors yours. When a woman is truly drawn to you, her body announces it before her words do. One of the clearest signals is mirroring. You shift your posture, and seconds later she shifts the same way. You lean back, and she reclines. You rest a forearm on the table, and she matches the angle. It is not a trick or a conscious copy. It is her nervous system syncing with yours, a physical yes that feels safer than saying it out loud. Men often miss this because they listen only to words. They hunt for the perfect line and ignore the rhythm under the talk. Mirroring is that rhythm. It tells you her guard is coming down and her attention is settling on you. Picture Thomas, 48, at a client mixer in Phoenix. He talks with Renee, 45, near the patio heaters. Thomas stands balanced, feet apart, shoulders relaxed, voice unhurried. Renee eases into the same stance. When he slows his speech, she slows. When he tilts his head, she tilts. When he takes a sip, she follows a beat later. Thomas notices the echo but does not call it out or turn it into a joke. The Stoics would approve of that restraint. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts." When your thoughts stay steady, your presence stays steady, and her body often follows. Seneca adds a helpful lens. The man who needs little is strong. If you try to force moments or chase reactions, she has nothing stable to mirror. Mirroring also shows up in breathing, eye contact, and tiny movements of hands. You scratch your cheek. Seconds later, she touches her face. You pause before a sentence. She inhales in the same pocket of silence. Your cadence shortens and hers shortens. The signal is clearest when she could align with others in the room, yet keeps calibrating to you. That is not randomness. Hold your frame steadily. Now, consider a second scene. Daniel, 51, sits at the end of a conference table in Dallas, debriefing after a trade show. Claire, 47, arrives late and takes the seat across from him. As Daniel leans forward to outline next steps, Claire leans in. When he eases back to listen, she eases back. Their pauses begin to match. No flirting is spoken, but the physiology is loud. Daniel does not rush anything. He holds the frame and closes the meeting, then later suggests coffee to go over a budget note. Here is the mistake to avoid. Do not mirror her back like a mime. That feels try-hard and breaks the spell. Do not comment on the mirroring as if you found a trick. Keep the magic unspoken. Your job is to pace, then lead. Set a relaxed baseline, let her match it, then guide the tempo with small shifts. Slow your speech to deepen calm. Square your shoulders to signal certainty. Turn slightly to test whether she turns too. You are not coercing, you are inviting. Epictetus gives the North Star. It is not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. When you notice mirroring and stay calm, you prove you are master of yourself. That mastery is the quality she is trying to feel in her bones. So watch for the echo. If her posture, breath, and cadence keep landing where yours just was, you are not guessing anymore. You are reading. Do not lunge. Do not shrink. Lead the moment by remaining unshakable and let her body keep voting yes. Choose steadiness over reaction always. Comment, to anchor the lesson, I read the signs. Stay tuned. The next signal is quieter, but even more decisive. It lives in the way her voice softens when your presence lands, and once you notice it, you will not unhear it. Number 6. Voice softens with desire. When a woman feels genuine attraction, she rarely says it outright. Instead, her voice tells the truth, her words will not. You can hear it in the way her tone drops, slows, and smooths out when she speaks to you. It is not the professional voice she uses at work. It is not the polite tone she gives strangers. It is quieter, warmer, and almost intimate, as if she is speaking only for your ears. Why does this happen? Psychology points to biology. A woman's nervous system reacts to comfort and attraction by shifting her vocal pitch. Her body is literally signaling safety and openness without her planning it. You might think of it as a private channel, something she does not even realize she is broadcasting. The Stoics teach us to notice without clinging. Epictetus wrote, "Nature gave us one tongue and two ears, so that we may listen twice as much as we speak." That wisdom applies directly here. The man who listens carefully, who pays attention to the undercurrent of her voice, instead of racing to impress her with words, gains far more insight. Her voice softens not because you demanded it, but because your presence created the condition for it. Now, many men miss this signal because they are caught up in their own performance. They are busy planning the next story, the next joke, or the next attempt at charm. But attraction often lives in the silence between words. When her voice lowers, it is an invitation. Not necessarily to act, but to recognize, to stay steady, calm, and receptive. The worst thing you can do is become overeager the moment you notice it. The shift in tone can also show up as breathiness, a pause before she answers, or even laughter that sounds softer than before. None of these are accidents. They are micro-adjustments her body makes in the presence of someone who carries control and self-respect. Seneca once wrote, "A great mind becomes calm and steady, rising above insults and the clamor of the crowd." Translate that into attraction. When your energy is calm, her body mirrors it, and her voice cannot help but change. Think about the difference between a casual conversation in a noisy cafe and the way her tone shifts when the focus narrows to just you. Even if the setting is the same, her vocal energy tells you everything. She is no longer projecting to the room. She is tuning in to you. That is the moment to lean into your frame, not to fill the silence with nervous chatter. Another point, the softening of her voice does not always mean sexual intent. Sometimes it signals deep trust or emotional connection. The wise man does not assume or force. He observes. He waits. He lets her voice reveal where she is without trying to script the outcome. This is where Stoic discipline becomes invaluable. Control yourself, not her. Interpret the sign then, let her actions align with it over time. The difference between men who fail and men who succeed is simple. The first ignore tone, the second listen. Women reveal more in how they speak than in the words themselves. If you hear her pitch soften, her rhythm slow, or her laughter stretch a little longer, pay attention. That is your cue to hold your ground. Do not rush to fill the space. Presence, not performance, keeps the moment alive. Remember Marcus Aurelius. The nearer a man comes to a calm mind, the closer he is to strength. In attraction, strength is not shown by forcing yourself into her space. It is shown by being so composed that she cannot help but lean closer, soften her words and lower her guard. So when her voice changes in your presence, do not overanalyze. Do not brag about it. Simply recognize it as a sign that your energy is working. Stay calm, stay grounded, and let her keep speaking into the silence you hold for her. Comment to anchor this lesson: I hear the truth. Stay with me. The next sign is even stronger, and it happens not with words, but with the way she positions herself closer than necessary, breaking invisible barriers most men never notice. Number 7. Time she invests in you. When it comes to desire, few signals are clearer than the one that costs her something she can never get back: her time. Words can be faked. A smile can be polite. Even a touch can sometimes be playful without deeper intent. But when a woman starts carving out time for you, choosing to spend her energy and hours in your presence instead of anywhere else, that's when you know something real is happening. Think about it this way: people today are busier than ever. Between careers, families, friends, and the endless pull of social media, free time feels like a rare commodity. If she's giving that to you, she's telling you silently, you matter more than the other things I could be doing. That's a form of investment. It's her way of showing where her priorities are shifting. Take, for example, Michael, a 42-year-old father of 2 from Chicago. After his divorce, he started dating again, unsure of how to read women's signals. One woman, Lisa, age 39, seemed friendly enough at first. But what really stood out was when she began driving across town late at night just to grab coffee with him, even if it meant losing sleep before work the next morning. She wasn't doing that for small talk. Her willingness to give her time was her way of leaning in. Michael realized the truth: her actions mattered more than any words she could say. This is where men often make mistakes. Many look only for verbal affirmations. She says she likes me, or she compliments me. But Stoic wisdom teaches us that deeds are weightier than words. Epictetus put it simply: what you do proves what you believe. In relationships, what she does with her time proves where her heart and desire really lie. Now here's the trap you need to avoid. Don't confuse availability with investment. A woman who answers texts quickly or chats with you during idle moments isn't necessarily showing deep attraction. True investment happens when she reorganizes her schedule, cancels other plans, or goes out of her way to make space for you. That sacrifice signals more than casual interest. It shows commitment of attention, which is the modern currency of desire. For men in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, this is especially important. By this stage in life, you don't want games. You don't want empty flattery. You want clarity. And clarity comes when you notice where her time is going. If she starts building her days around you, even subtly, it's no accident. Let's be real, women have options. They have friends calling, family responsibilities, and sometimes multiple men trying to get their attention. If she chooses you consistently, that's a sign of both respect and attraction. It means she doesn't just want your presence, she values it enough to prioritize it above the noise of her life. But here's the Stoic angle: don't become addicted to her time. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, you could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think. Apply that to relationships. Be grateful for the time she gives you, but don't cling to it as if it defines your worth. A grounded man receives her investment without demanding it, without expecting it as a right. That balance keeps her chasing rather than withdrawing. If you push too hard, if you demand more of her time than she's willing to give you, risk flipping the dynamic. Instead, stay centered. Notice her effort. Appreciate it. Match it, but don't smother it. The attraction deepens when her giving feels voluntary, not extracted. The truth is, time investment is one of the most valuable currencies in a relationship. She could buy you a gift. She could send a sweet text. But when she chooses hours with you over comfort, convenience, or even sleep, that's when you know her desire runs deeper than words. So watch closely. When she starts driving across town, reshuffling her priorities, or staying longer than she planned, don't overlook it. That's her way of speaking in actions, not just words. Now, I want you to lock this in. Comment below with, "I see the effort." And stay tuned, because what comes next isn't about time or touch. It's about the way her body gives away what her mind will never say. That's where things get even more revealing. Number 8. The small yeses that grow. Desire rarely arrives all at once. More often it starts with small agreements, tiny yeses that build into something bigger. If you're paying attention, these little signals tell you she's opening the door step by step, even if she's not ready to swing it wide just yet. Think about the everyday moments. She says yes to grabbing a coffee after work, even though she's tired. She says yes to taking a walk with you, even if it's late and she could be home resting. She says yes to sharing stories she doesn't tell most people. None of these seem dramatic on their own, but each yes stacks on the last, quietly building momentum. It's how small permissions turn into real attraction. Here's where a lot of men get impatient. They want the big yes right away. They overlook the value of the smaller ones because they're chasing an outcome instead of noticing the process. But the Stoics would remind us progress is gradual. Epictetus said, "No great thing is created suddenly." That wisdom applies to relationships as much as anything else. Her smaller agreements are proof of direction, and they're more reliable than words of promise. Another key point: these yeses aren't just about logistics, they're about emotional openness. Every time she agrees to something that requires her time, trust, or vulnerability, she's moving closer to you. And if you respect that process instead of rushing it, you'll find the pace itself creates tension. That tension is what makes attraction grow deeper. What matters most here is how you respond. If you take her yeses for granted, or if you try to push for more immediately, you risk breaking the rhythm. But if you meet each yes with steady confidence and gratitude, you reinforce the cycle. She feels safe giving more. Now, let's tie it to desire. A woman's attraction often thrives on gradual escalation. The small yeses, sharing a meal, extending a conversation, sitting closer, are her way of signaling readiness without putting everything on the line. By honoring each step, you keep the momentum alive and let her desire expand naturally. And here's the deeper truth: these yeses aren't just about her actions. They're a reflection of your frame. If you're grounded, calm, and consistent, she'll feel secure enough to keep saying yes. If you're anxious, needy, or reactive, she'll hesitate and pull back. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. In relationships, your steadiness gives her room to lean in. So pay attention. Notice the small agreements. Treat them as bricks being laid one by one, building a foundation. Over time, those little yeses become the big yes you were waiting for. Drop this in the comments. I value progress. And remember, there's another layer coming, one that reveals how her energy shifts when desire pushes her past reason. That's where things get even more powerful. Number 9. When to move, when to hold. One of the most important and overlooked skills in reading female desire is timing. Knowing when to lean in and when to pull back can mean the difference between attraction that builds and interest that fades. Most men either rush in too fast or hesitate until the moment passes. But the man who understands rhythm, who knows when to move and when to hold, becomes magnetic. Picture this: David, 45, recently divorced, meets Emily, 41, through mutual friends. At first, she's subtle, prolonged eye contact, light laughter, agreeing to casual coffee dates. David notices, but instead of pushing immediately for more, he holds his frame. He allows her to take the next step. Then one night after dinner, Emily leans in closer than usual. That's the moment David moves just enough to match her energy, not overwhelm it. The result: the attraction feels natural, not forced. This balance is where most men stumble. Either they jump too soon, chasing signals before they're fully formed, or they freeze, waiting so long that her interest cools. The truth is, women communicate desire in waves. Some moments invite forward movement, others demand patience. If you can sense the difference, you hold the power. Stoic philosophy is a perfect guide here. Seneca once wrote, "Most powerful is he who has himself in his own power." That self-control is what lets you respond with precision. Instead of being reactive, either rushing or retreating, you act deliberately. You move when her signals are strong, you hold when they're faint. You become steady while she oscillates, and that steadiness draws her in. Women, especially in their 30 seconds, 40 seconds, and 50 seconds, crave a man who understands timing. Life experience has sharpened their intuition. They can sense desperation instantly. But when they meet a man who knows how to hold back until the right moment, his presence feels both rare and irresistible. David's story illustrates this. Emily later admitted that what pulled her in was his patience. She was used to men jumping at any sign of interest, but David's ability to wait until the right moment made her feel safe and excited at the same time. His restraint created tension. His timely action sealed the connection. So here's the key takeaway. Watch the cues, trust the rhythm, and remember that silence and space can be as powerful as action. When you hold at the right time, you allow her desire to build. When you move at the right time, you release that tension into intimacy. Drop this in the comments to lock it in. I master timing. And prepare yourself, because the final piece ties everything together, showing how self-respect becomes the ultimate driver of desire. That's the foundation every man needs. Number 10. Stoic calm seals the deal. At the heart of all these signals, her lingering looks, her laughter, her small yeses, her tests, is one final truth. She is drawn to the man who stays calm no matter what. When desire runs high, emotions can shift quickly. She might tease, pull back, test, or lean in stronger than before. But if you stay grounded, unshaken by her storms, you become the anchor she didn't know she needed. Stoic calm isn't about being cold or indifferent. It's about holding your center. It's the difference between a man who reacts wildly to every signal and one who responds with steady confidence. The first comes across as insecure, the second comes across as powerful. Picture this. Jonathan, 50, meets Rachel, 46, at a work event. She laughs a lot at his jokes, touches his arm, and even leans in closer. But halfway through the evening, she suddenly goes quiet, checking her phone, pulling back slightly. Most men in Jonathan's shoes would panic, thinking they did something wrong or rushing to win her attention back. Jonathan doesn't. He continues the conversation calmly, keeping his tone steady, not pushing, not retreating. Within minutes, Rachel re-engages, even more invested than before. His calm proved he wasn't desperate for reassurance. Marcus Aurelius captured it perfectly. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. That's what Stoic calm really is, power over yourself. Women sense it instantly. It tells her you're not swayed by her moods or tests. You're consistent, unmovable, the same man whether she's hot or cold. That stability feels rare, and in a world where most men get rattled, it makes you unforgettable. Calm also amplifies tension. When she gives you signals, your silence, your pause, your patience, they all make the moment more electric. She feels the weight of your restraint. It's not indifference, it's composure. And in that composure, desire builds instead of collapsing. The truth is, any man can learn lines or tricks. But the man who learns to master himself, his emotions, his reactions, his energy, has the real advantage. Attraction is less about what you do and more about who you are under pressure. A woman's deepest desire is not for the man who tries hardest, but for the man who remains calmest. So, as we close this, remember the signals are there, the cues are real, but they mean little if you can't hold your frame. Stoic calm isn't just the final move, it's the foundation that makes all the others work. In the end, it's not about controlling her, it's about controlling yourself. And once you master that, you don't just seal the deal, you become the deal. That's the truth most men never hear. Women send signals, they test, they tease, but the man who stays calm, steady, and self-respecting is the one who wins in the end. If this video gave you value, hit subscribe right now so you don't miss tomorrow's lesson. Every day we break down female psychology, stoicism, and the moves that keep you in control. And if you're ready to go deeper, join the membership. Inside you'll get private lessons, advanced strategies and breakdowns I don't share publicly. It's where you stop guessing and start mastering. Subscribe to the channel. Join the membership. Take these lessons and put them into practice. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow.